Hi, I'm Don Moores, and welcome to Montgomery Week in Review. Maryland's Governor Larry Hogan recently announced that the state will require Maryland's counties, as well as the city of Baltimore, to start school after Labor Day. Fred Evans, who comments regularly for this program, will discuss the furor that has followed what Governor Hogan said was a very positive message. The Mental Health Association of Montgomery County has changed its name to EveryMind. Ann Mazur, the president, or executive director, I should say, the grand poobah of EveryMind, is going to tell us why the change. The League of Women Voters of Montgomery County is sponsoring a forum featuring the Board of Education candidates. It'll take place on September 28th at John F. Kennedy High School in Silver Spring. Elaine Apter from the League has this story, as well as so many others about this election season. Fred,
hi, Don.
It is great to have you back.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, as I said in the intro, I was listening to Larry Hogan, the governor, when he made this announcement. It made it sound like the entire state, families, everyone just waiting to have school start after Labor Day, end by June 15th, because it was going to be a great thing for the state and for the state's families. Isn't that true?
No.
Okay.
I have obviously a point of view. I was in education, still attached to education, and teach at the graduate school level. And I've talked, in fact, to some of my students who are current teachers in Montgomery County, and they are not happy about it. There are a bunch of reasons, but a few of them are that it limits the amount of days that the teachers and staff have to work with their children. And within those days, you also have in-service days, you have other holidays, and the big critical issue that's not the biggest issue, but another issue is snow days.
Right.
If you miss days because of snow, you have to make those days up. And how we're going to do that?
Well, my wife is an educator as well, and one of the things, as I recall with these planning days, was a way for teachers to be able to get with one another,
Absolutely.
as well as to not be staying every night up to midnight, all of this time just to be ready, tired the next day, that they can really be helping the kids.
Exactly. The in-service days are training opportunities within the school, not outside the school, where they can work together more closely. And we have so many requirements now in public education with testing and all of those other things, that what it may amount to is having to limit other vacations like spring break and those kinds of things.
Right. Yeah, another thing from a family standpoint, it sounds good that there's more family time, but don't a lot of the students end up in some kind of daycare center because parents are working? So is that really family time, or is that extra money spent from the family?
Absolutely, and you know, the big focus on this has been it helps Ocean City. Well, okay, what about the families, as you say? And we're still on agrarian calendar. I won't get into that too much, but summertime is still sacred. But to have the governor, I believe it's a local decision. I don't believe that the governor has the authority to do it.
And I know you want to ask a question, but before you do, let me just ask this question here. To be fair, what was the governor saying, besides it's good for Ocean City? What are the positives? Because he had his Democratic companion. They're almost joined at the hip now.
Mr. Francho.
Peter Francho, who seemed to be ballyhooing this as well. He's from Montgomery County, understands hopefully what education is all about.
I really didn't hear, maybe I wasn't listening, and that's always a possibility when I first heard it, but I didn't hear any other great advantages to families. He said more time with families, but as is suggested, there are families that don't have the opportunity to take vacations in the summer, not because of anything other than not having the resources to do that. So, and there are so many more demands in education with testing requirements and days that you need to practice for that.
Absolutely, and I was just thinking, as far as you said, reduction in spring break or winter break, and I think that the families and the children look forward to breaks throughout the year versus one long break in the summer.
Oh, no question.
Right, and that's also holiday times usually, where families want to get together, such as winter break.
Yeah, and there have been other, I don't want to say demands, but calendar changes as a result of recognizing religious holidays, although it's not mentioned as a religious holiday, but that is another issue.
Right, and the other thing that has come up recently, when you talk about snow days, et cetera, if we're reducing the number of days that the children are in school, there are also other services that they're getting, whether that's meals or whether it's other services that are being provided at the school.
Yeah.
It's a little bit what Elaine was saying.
Right.
Right.
And you're also increasing again the length of time when they last had education or schooling, and for some, every day almost that they don't get back into school.
No question.
You're catching up.
No question.
We've got a little bit over a minute. Can you sketch out a little bit from your knowledge? The governor came out like gangbusters saying, hey, you know, I have the power to do this. Attorney General Brian Frosh said, no, you don't. We've got the General Assembly coming up, next session starting in January, unless the governor calls them back for a special session. What's going to happen here?
Well, it's supposed to start for the 2017-2018 school year.
Okay.
So the question will be, will the General Assembly overrule that? But the problem with that is, because of the January session, schools set up their calendars in October and prior to the next school year, typically. October, later, maybe November. And that's going to create some real issues.
Promise to come back and keep us apprised.
Oh, I'd love to. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one.
That's right.
You're welcome.
Ann, welcome.
Thank you.
Your first time on the show.
Absolutely.
You are not quaking. I mean, normally we want people all nervous, deer in headlights. You're so relaxed. You're natural.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you think so.
So, no more Mental Health Association of Montgomery County. I can't say that anymore, right?
Right. Our new name is EveryMind, and just on September 15th, we unveiled the new name. And the Mental Health Association of Montgomery County, as you mentioned, it has been around for 60 years.
What a great organization. We have folks from MHA or from EveryMind here on a regular basis, and what amazing work across a broad spectrum. It's been fantastic.
Absolutely. And so what one of the main reasons for the name change is we're still continuing all the work that we've done as MHA, the Mental Health Association, for 60 years. None of those services are changing, but a couple reasons for the name changes.
I need to hold you there, because as you're talking about this, people can look on their computer, and there's a website.
Absolutely. It's every-mind.org.
And there's a phone number on there so that if somebody's in an emergency, or they can text or call. What's that number?
The number is 301-738-CALL. And people can either call that number, text that number, or there's also a crisis chat. And that's for emergencies and people in crisis, but it is also a line to call just if you need someone to talk to or need resources.
I'm sorry to interrupt
you. It's not
you.
just crisis.
As you're going through, as people can now follow if they want to on the internet. So keep going with what you guys are doing. What's going on?
Absolutely. So the two of the main reasons for the change in name is, one, that we are providing services here in Montgomery County, but we a year and a half ago, one of our programs, we actually moved into Northern Virginia services, our Serving Together program, which I know
we love Serving Together.
People have come on your show and spoke about Serving Together.
Sure.
And that service we expanded into Northern Virginia, and we're looking to move both into DC and to Prince George's County within the year.
Okay.
In addition, one of the main points is stigma reduction.
Sure.
And trying to change the conversation that mental health is just as important as physical health.
And we still have that, if I may jump in, I was on the board of the Mental Health Association, and we still have serious issues in this country and our community about we look at mental health differently than if someone has a physical condition, cancer, for example, or something like that. And I hope that we continue to fight that battle, that it's a serious medical issue and not to be taken lightly.
That's
Absolutely.
true, but I'm sure it's not easy to do a name change like that, where everybody knows your name. What are some of the things you're doing to educate the public that you're the same group, but you've got a different name?
Absolutely, and so we're 1 week into this. So we're learning the lessons along the way. We've done a lot of preparation. We did an event last Thursday to launch the name and a big social media push. And you know, with the website, with others, Facebook, LinkedIn, all those social media outlets to try to.
And people can learn more about how they can spread the word, I bet, this weekend at Candy Cane City.
Yes, we have a run this Sunday, the 25th, that starts at 9 a.m. At Candy Cane Park Pavilion, Meadowbrook, and it's a 5K run and a 3K walk.
Right there in Chevy Chase. What a great location, and what a great cause. What, you know, EveryMind, I mean, it makes so much sense because we all are depressed from time to time. We all face our own mental demons, no matter how we seem. We're not all sort of on this sense or on this path where we're not facing mental health issues, just as physical health issues. Physical health issues. We're all mortal beings. So how do you see your work to help propel that, to take care of the stigma or to address the stigma issues?
Well, to your point, I think that everyone, whether you have a diagnosed mental illness or not, or everyone at different times needs mental health similar to physical health, and we are with our work, we're trying to make it that there's not a stigma, that people see it no differently than physical health, and that anyone can access help, and there's no stigma, and that's one of the biggest.
And you still do training programs and so on for folks who are in the mental health profession.
Absolutely,
10
absolutely.
seconds.
We have community education and also training for mental health professionals in the field.
Okay. Any final word?
No, if everyone can just go to our website and check out the new website and all of the work that we do in the community. It's every-mind.org.
Fight stigma, be part of EveryMind. Thank you very much, Ann. You did a great job.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after these messages. And we're back. One last thing on dealing with EveryMind is there are lots of volunteer opportunities at EveryMind. So please go to that website. Ann didn't have a chance to say it at the very end, but a lot of volunteer opportunities. Another place to do some great volunteer opportunities is the League of Women Voters of Montgomery County. Elaine Apter, volunteer extraordinaire, is here.
You got it.
So let's get started, because we talked in the opening about the Board of Education Forum. A lot of candidates. There are far too many to come in. There's a little distinct. They can go they can go to the league website, see differences among the candidates.
Right. Our voters guide is now going to print. We had our last, so it should be out the beginning of next week. And vote 411. But the best way would be to go to a forum, sit down, and actually watch the candidates function in person. You would also be able to, we will have cards. If you have a question for the candidate, you will be able to submit that to a group at the forum. And they'll oversee the cards and make sure that all the same types of questions, say, will be under one question, so you don't waste time.
And I found through the years at these forums also that afterwards the candidates are really happy to speak to people one-on-one. So
they would love to, because they're sure that you know the candidates for president and maybe senator and stuff, but most of them, they have no idea that you
Right.
don't know anything about them. So they would love to talk
Right.
to you and give them ideas. And most
Good.
of them have lots of good ideas.
Elaine, I know why it's important to vote for a school board member, but why is it important to vote for the school board? Because a lot of times that's on the lower.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say at the
Lower
beginning. You
level.
start at the president,
Right.
and then you go to the Senate, to the Congress. Even the judges are before the school board, which always amazes me on the ballot.
Other than having a $2.3 billion budget for the
Yes,
basic
but where
fund.
does the budget come out of? And I don't think people realize that, because I've been in other places where there were bond issues and special taxing districts. That is not true in Montgomery County. The school board budget, the Montgomery County Public School budget, literally comes out of the Montgomery County budget, most of it, the
correct.
major
Right.
part.
$4.5
And
million,
it
half
used
of it
to
goes
be,
to schools.
yes, half of it goes to the
Billion,
schools.
billion.
And it used to be that, you know, they had some federal money and state money, and that keeps dwindling.
Right.
And who has to supplement that? And it's the school board that sets the budget.
Right.
Well, and I think also this year is an important year because we just saw County Council approve a huge increase in the budget to
yes, and
Montgomery
it's going
County
to
Public
affect
Schools.
your taxes. On the other hand, too, the school district in other ways, not just directly, but your property values can depend on a
Yes.
good education system. Your business, your economics, they'll come into an area where you have a well-educated population. So this is really very important. Even though you don't have children in the Montgomery County school system, it's still extremely important that you.
You know, we look at this, you know, we're so blessed in that you know, we look, Montgomery County continues to see itself as a global leader. And as the percentage of our workforce becomes less and less dependent on actual federal jobs, with more and more private sector and contracting and all that, we're sitting on the world. We're a global leader, and we've got the world has come to us, and educating these kids who give us a leg up, I think, isn't that important?
No question about it. And
language
you've also
everything
got
else.
a population change
Right.
in Montgomery County.
Absolutely.
That's some people in Montgomery County are a little slow to realize that, but the school system is one of the first places where they do realize it. They've got schools with 10, 12, 20 languages in a school.
In the year 2000, when my last year at Gaithersburg High School, we had students from 80 countries
Yep.
and 40 different language groups. In 2000, just demographically, was the last majority graduating class
Right.
in the Montgomery County Public Schools
Yeah.
16 years ago, school-wide.
And it
School
is a
system-wide.
challenge. On the other hand,
an
it's a
opportunity.
resource that
Oh,
is invaluable.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But we've got to put the investment in to get the resources that have that opportunity to
Right,
be realized.
right. And you need school board people that are looking ahead and that will look at curriculum and things.
Less than 30 seconds
Absolutely.
left in this segment.
Yes.
The league is doing so much. I'm gonna after this, and we're gonna have a general discussion among us on a number of issues. But want to talk at that point. Please promise a little bit on the voter suppression. I know that's a
Right,
huge issue
yes.
for the league. We
The
don't wanna
league
get
has
into it-
been
yeah.
involved in many lawsuits throughout the country.
Okay. Elaine Apter, thank you very much.
Oh, you're more than welcome. We hope to see everybody at Kennedy Center on September 28th.
No, Kennedy High
7
School.
to 9.
Kennedy.
Kennedy High School.
Right.
Thank
Kennedy
you.
High School.
Kennedy High School.
Kennedy Center, you're going down there for a
Thank
opera
you.
or something.
Right.
Now,
Good.
we had another guest who was supposed to be here, unfortunately was not able to make it the last second. So I want to talk a little bit on a couple of issues, really geared up towards the election and beyond. And I think this voter suppression, maybe we'd start with you, Elaine, and let's all come in.
And
What are some
one
of the
of the
issues that we're talking
things
about?
I would start with is we're very, very lucky in Maryland. We've expanded early voting. You can register to vote during early voting if you haven't registered. I mean, we are really in the forefront of having people and allowing people to vote.
And with that, I understand, I've spoken to a number of the folks from the elections board, is, one, we have the paper trail as well,
Yes.
and we see how
Right.
important that is with the hacking.
Right.
And the second is, I didn't realize this, is that none of our tallies in Montgomery County are transmitted electronically. They're put into a central place and then taken physically to the tally
Correct
spot in Rockville, and then put
Right.
in with a so nothing is going through the
Right,
wires.
and the other thing is you don't need an excuse for an absentee ballot
Right.
anymore. So they're trying to make it as easy as possible, but that's not true across the country.
Fred, what do you think? Should we be concerned? I mean, you've been around as an educator, and your job was really to centered and as a principal, bringing up these folks, these kids, good civic and minded
Right.
and participatory. What is this concern about that we hear from one of the candidates, that the presidential candidates, that the system is rigged? Everyone's against me. If I lose, it's going to, the state's going to try to rip stuff off.
Yeah, I don't have a broad knowledge of all the voter suppression issues, but I really am suspicious of the system being rigged. I mean, I think there might be some examples. I think one of the great problems we've had in this country, and it continues, is voter turnout.
Yes.
How do we get people out? And I always go back, when I used to talk to my students, and talk about, I watched my parents I have never missed an election. I'm not saying that to brag. It was just,
It's what you do.
it's what you do.
Right.
It's what you do.
It's like breathing.
Right.
You vote.
Right.
And my
Right.
first election, I don't want to say when it was,
Right.
but a long time ago, but it was always, it's a given.
And when
No
you
matter-
look at
Right.
that and you see maybe 30%
Oh,
of the public is
good
in
year.
electing somebody to office.
Right.
So when people say, I'm not going to vote, or I don't like either candidate, you're just letting somebody else
Exactly.
choose, and a smaller and smaller minority choose
And
who's
we look
going
right here
to go
too.
into
We look
office.
at what the
Yes.
issues are, the impact on education, the impact on nonprofits, or and also in funding. I mean, think about that. And what does this election have anything to do with where health care research is going to be going in the future, or how we address different issues? I don't, or is it a wash, which seems to be the mindset of many voters? What does it matter?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say right now based on the
I don't
platforms.
just say with
right,
one way or the other, but
right.
but it would matter, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And as a nonprofit here in the county, a very large portion of our budget is through county government funding through the Department of Health and Human Services. So depending on the election, it absolutely would have an impact on funding sources that we have from county government funds and Health and Human Services.
Now,
So-
Elaine, with the League of Women Voters, what are you trying to do? What's the organization, both locally as well as nationally, trying to do to try to fight this voter apathy that Fred's mentioned?
We're trying to register people to vote. We're trying to inform people, because a lot of times people won't go to vote because they don't know what they're voting on. Or the other thing, they'll go and they'll just vote, say, on president and not go down. And we try to inform them how important it is to vote for Congress and the Board of Education, or who's ever.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, I was going to say, here in Montgomery County, you brought up the diverse population that we have.
Yes.
And what about for voters that that do speak another language?
30
or-
seconds left.
We do have an outreach, and we've gone to mosques and all kinds of the voters guide. We're trying to get into Spanish, but and Chinese. We have all our voter registration signs in different languages. So we are really trying to do an outreach.
I think I just think that's excellent, and it's something that's we've got to continue.
Yeah.
Voter apathy is very frustrating.
And as an immigration attorney, so many people coming to this country who were denied the opportunity to
Yes.
participate, they want to participate, and I hope we can help get them in there. Listen, you all, thank you very much for all of these discussions. It was great to have you. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate all of you in the viewing audience for joining us for this week's edition of Montgomery Week in Review. I'm Don Moores, inviting you to please join us next week at this very